All right, great. Let's see if we can do it to it. I'm gonna share this. I'm gonna just take my time. It's been a full day. Whole lot of things went on, so we're gonna just do what we gotta do. I'm gonna just pace myself. This is Dr. David Render here, ready to rock and roll. We're just gonna pace ourselves and do what we gotta do. So this is gonna be very special. I'm really gonna enjoy this. Earlier, I was hoping I could get them on, but that's okay. We already got everything what we need to do lined up. So let's do what we gotta do. All right, and I'm gonna share this as well. Hey, what's going on? What's going on?
Hey, what's poppin'? How's it
All
going?
right. Hey, look, I just want to say thanks for definitely taking the time, your diligence and focus to want to just troubleshoot and get everything lined up. Well, let's just take a minute if we can, or a minute and a half, to just share the video. My wife also is going to share, and she's just going to share the post in the video too. So I'm just going to take just a moment to do that. So if I don't know if you'll just kind of chill for the minute, but I'm going to share it so more people can view and check it out and everything.
Mhm.
So just bear with me. Right? Okay. Okay. So, okay. 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 Great. All right. There we go. All right. All right. Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay. All right. All right. Here we go. All right, everybody. I just thank you for coming to this program, this show, this therapeutic session. This is Dr. David Render here, and those that's going to be viewing that or coming in this program during the show or even after it, that's going to catch the replay. We have a great program today to allow a very special guest. I would say that's special to me coming into California and viewing my journey of television production and connecting with different artists, and not just only in the dimension of music and art, just someone who I believe has a lot of gems or experience to just share from his point of view, being from Central America and then coming into America on the western part in Cali. So I want to introduce to you KTSE Uno, and I just want to open the program up for you. And you're on 4 Healing at 4, even though we're about 5 o'clock to be able to open that up to you. So thank you so much, and we'll open the floor to allow you to begin.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, where do I begin? I would say, I appreciate the opportunity to just go ahead and be able to speak not only directly with you, but indirectly with the audience, and be able to, speak across, a matter of subjects, and be able to come to a better understanding of what healing really is for an individual and as a group. So I appreciate, everyone that is watching. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on social media. I'm on Twitter. I'm not the the most socially active yet, but I am definitely, opening up, as I continue to expand, my mind, as well as we should all do. So, I mean, you know, uh, one main focus that I plan on getting into today is just the importance of mindset. So, I'm just looking forward to having, a great show with you.
Yeah, so, definitely the importance of mindset. When I first spoke with you, you really seem to be, and I would say you are, an intelligent man. You know how to articulate for yourself. We had a great conversation months back. We met, connected with a project with a different project with a certain person we both connected with certain area of a project. And one thing that struck me, you were sharing that just by your features and your looks, you're not from America, but you're from Central America. So let's open that up as we cross into the mindset. So yeah, go and yeah, go ahead, bro.
So, I mean, although I didn't spend too much time, where I originated, I definitely have experienced a lot of eye-opening, perspectives that have helped me to realize just, just what it means to be foreign, I guess you can say, from a different place. I'm from Belize, formerly known as British Honduras. It was a part of Honduras and got
Oh
its
wow.
independence, about years ago from the British. It was a British colony, and so it is now the only black country, I think, or considered, excuse my language, a black country in Central America. And so, my family, yeah. Yeah, so I mean, the story is, pretty, I guess, it's pretty interesting. It's just about a ship that ended up not making it all the way back, to where they intended on taking, the slaves at the time. And it ended up, on the coast of Honduras. And so, as far as, I've been told in the research I've checked upon, they just went ahead and mingled with the natives and formed their own, own area, own country, as you may call it now. So my family came from there, I guess some time ago. I was initially one when I first came here. So being here, I never knew anything else. So I mean, at 1 year old, it's not much a person can retain. From the 365 days before that, but I moved to South Central, California or Los Angeles, and then to South Central, and definitely was a pretty diverse experience growing up and just learning life from those around me and those who support everything that I'm about. So it definitely was, I guess, not so much of a transition for a person like me. Being here just about my entire life, there's not much you can transition from. But I definitely grew up amongst multiple cultures. Being able to appreciate. Go ahead.
I was gonna say so because when I spoke with you, and met you, I said, you seem like oh wait, hey, can you could you would you pretty please go ahead if you can. Okay, but when I met you and we were doing the set, and just like you were meeting me, I was meeting you, and I was like, okay, it's great. Really, really, there was a connection, a click, and the one thing about it on today, we were speaking about scaling with barriers and challenges and being people of color. And also there's things being men. And I don't know if you might have seen this, but for men of color or men with certain challenges and things we had to scale or overcome. I know for me, it wasn't like a deep challenge, but there were challenges there with me having um, challenges to just succeed and desire to succeed. And I just wanted to hear just some of like the grow a little bit growing up of just some of the things you might have seen that might have been problems that maybe tried to come in your way that
Yeah.
would kind of, overcame or kind of, might have hit you, unknowingly, had to figure out.
Well, all right. To be quite frank, when it comes down to challenges, I grew up like any other. In one way, I grew up like any other, child in South Central. I looked at myself as any other child, any other person. You know, um, I guess coming to an age where you start to, conceive things and you start to pay attention to your surroundings, if you're growing up around people who look like you, people who are in classes with you, and people who live around you. I mean, I walked home. It's not like, I was shuttled home or I was, that kid who rode the bus. I walked home, in LA, off the streets that I lived off of, growing up off 10th Ave and Hyde Park, which a lot of people may or may not be familiar with that area, South Central.
Yeah,
But
now let them know. Yeah, let them know. You know what I'm saying? Folk be watching all up in other countries and stuff. I'll be looking up the analytics. I'm like, dang, okay. So yeah, what's that world like? Because I've been in California for 2 years, so I, know the, certain things I met and dealt with. But you growing up, what was that world like? What was that world about?
I guess you could say it was, in a sense, it was a false sense of reality or a false sense of safety or comfort. Because, I mean, you know, at a point somewhere down the line, things start to not add up or things start to not, I guess, fit the bigger picture. And so then questions start coming up. And, family's family. Every family has a goal when they bring in family from another country. And so, my family had a goal. My mother, God bless her soul, I work hard for her every single day. She did her best to achieve all the goals that she set out for. Unfortunately, being able to just, lock down the situation when it comes to just the complication of documentation. You know how, paperwork is everything. So I guess
And
it's,
and, and,
yeah.
and I wanted to pause right there because some people don't, some people don't know this part right here, and that's why I wanted to pause. That will view this just in Southern California, and I knew only on a light handle coming into it was another world for me coming from central and down south and done some things with East Coast. Now I'm on the West Coast. So some people don't understand or know about the whole documentation or citizenship or
Well, then,
having
okay, so you know
credentials.
what? I have a perfect way. In fact, before we even continue, I have a perfect way of explaining that. All right.
Yeah,
So,
go ahead.
and just as a disclaimer, only reason why I'm this comfortable speaking about it is because I've spent enough time battling through this situation. Has arisen because of reasons outside of my control.
Yeah,
Um, Even with that being said, I've definitely spent a lot of time trying to refocus because it's something that it's hard to be ready for something like that and overall. But think about, back in the day, 90s, 80s, when people played video games. For those who play old school video games, when you're trying to play your game, there's a thing called a memory card.
uh-huh.
So you have your memory card, and without your memory card, you're not able to save your progress. That's what the memory card allows people to do. So as you make your way through the game, you go to sleep, of course, every day. Days pass by in real life, but you still maintain your progress because it's saved onto this memory card. If you don't have it, I mean, I'm pretty sure there's plenty of people out there who remember, leaving their console on because they couldn't turn it off because they were like, if I turn it off, I'm gonna have to start back from the beginning of the game, and I don't want to have to do that. So, and if you take that concept of the importance of that memory card, being able to save your progress in the game, that is the importance of having your documentation, your proper documentation that has been issued that you're entitled to, of course, if you have it. The Constitution says plenty of things about, the rights of people, the Bill of Rights. And one of the most important ones, or one of the bills that has never been changed and should never be changed, is any person born or naturalized in the U.S. is a U.S. citizen. So with that being said, being here since the age of 1, I just I've been able to really live into that, or step into that, or just follow that entire bracket. When there's not another place that I know. So without having now I do. Now everything's getting squared away, but even now with the complexity of legislature, it's like without a fully functional set of documentation, which I should be entitled to, it's like every day is a new start. I'm missing that memory card. Think of your social security as that memory card.
Yeah.
And so I do have one. However, because of the implications and the drawbacks and the setbacks in processing people's information, I am, kind of in a sense, restarting life every day.
Yeah.
Because I'm not able to, your ID, your job history, your your marriage history, criminal history, everything's tied to that social, which is your memory card. And so right now I'm just, I've had to learn to work around that because I've had it. And, the situation gets pretty complicated, but, at the end of the day, I've had to bide my time and stay humble and learn how to be, even more humble through something that, as a young man, who is very, talented, some may say, I know that to be true. I'm just held back by just, the situation, which, is just like, it's not really common because none of my family members have been through it. And so, when it comes to the complexity or getting help, figuring things out, I've had to tough the road alone. Tough it out alone.
So, excuse me. So, how did it, like you said, and I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, look, and the reason why I always try to liken it onto this statement and say, hey, we're gonna walk on the ledge. You're not gonna walk by yourself. I'm gonna walk with you to the ledge, at least for this show and certain things we shared about with in private on a phone call and to share about the different barriers that we went through. I know for myself, there were things that what is going on? Is there oh was it okay, hold on. All right, hold on. Let me see if I can transfer this real quick and see what's going on. Is that testing? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you a lot better now.
Oh, you can? Okay, great.
Let me actually do the same.
Oh, okay, because it and
What
see
about
if
me?
it.
Can you hear me?
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Okay,
There
so
we
you
go.
can
Great.
hear me?
Yeah, I
Good.
can hear you.
Yeah, that was perfect. Yeah, perfect, perfect. Yeah, my wife, she was because she's got other like a lot of tech stuff, and she was like, "Oh yeah, here you go." So it's okay. So yeah, one thing I wanted to just share with everybody and kind of delve more into. I know the things that I had to go through. I had went through a situation for some years where there was some things that when I was trying to go into my um, uh, history of like military history. I was trying to get military benefits and stuff, and dealing with documentation. You have documentation and everything, but there's things that's in the system or even codes. Now, emotionally, that was very distressing. Emotionally, now I'm not saying I got upset. I ain't gonna say I cried, but I got upset because I was like, I'm being held back when I know I have the skills, the talent, the ability. Now, it worked out for the good, but let me share something with you. And I know yours with the things you went through, I would say it was more of it could have been traumatic. It can be traumatic because, like you said, you're resetting every day. But the thing is, I know just to share with you, I was like,
you gotta learn how to maintain you know,
Yeah,
some kind of, you know, I guess flow or some kind of way to, you know, keep that progress, and keep that stability, and keep that same energy going into the
yeah.
next day.
Because look, I would be pissed. I would be upset. I'd be angry. I would
You
try to
know,
find every way. And it's processed because I had to process through the stuff that I was
you
going
know,
through, dealing with
let me tell
certain
you something.
things that.
Yeah, let me tell you something, you know. So
Go ahead.
it's
Go ahead.
really confusing, and you know, it gets so complicated. I hate, you know, even, you know, entertaining somebody's, you know, interest in the topic unless they're fully capable of understanding how complicated it is. Because, you know, when you look at the fact, like, you know, I definitely pay my taxes, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
so these
Yeah.
are, you know, W's. So I go hard, and, you know, I mean, not that I need to go into detail, but it's just, you know, it's kind of vexing when
Yeah. It.
you
Yeah. Of
know, you've done
course. I'm not
everything
gonna.
and it's just, yeah, go ahead.
You look. You talking to two brothers right here. Come on now. You
Yeah, man.
dealing with different things socially. Even though you
Yeah,
was in
man.
Central America, you came to Cali. I've been all across America, and I got more degrees than the thermometer and all type of talent and everything. I had to come to LA to reset life and go higher.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
after years, that stuff will try to get to you as you barrier through people who let me share something with you. I'll be laughing and coughing too if I had to. You were saying, dealing with all
That's
this
true.
stuff, you know. I'll let you
That's true.
gather yourself because you know it's some real stuff
You
happening.
know,
You know, I'll let you
excuse me.
gather your composure. You know, it's real, man. Yeah, gather yourself.
Yeah,
It's good, man. It. The thing
yeah.
is,
Definitely.
the things I know I've been through, and look, it ain't easy. It ain't easy, and I can, to a certain degree, I'm not you in your body, but there are a lot of things similarly that just outwardly, and even I'm pretty sure certain things inwardly that we share. And look, it's not easy, and there's things that I know I had to mature and process in my mind and say, what is this? What's the deal with all the barriers, these blocks? And we know the right statement to say is this: oh, well, it
Yeah,
just makes you stronger. Just
yeah.
when you get over it, don't cry about it. But to be honest with you, we
Mm,
do get upset about things. We do cry about things. We do get frustrated. I know I did. And I had to really,
mm.
if you will, tie yourself up by the bootstraps and then do what you need to do. And this was even after I was in the military. But with what you're sharing, I can only imagine maybe the anguish or just the like, man, what am
It's
I
just
going to
it's
do?
because, you know, you're already, you know, when you're in a situation that you didn't realize you're in, because it's not like I knew. People,
Yeah,
a
yeah,
lot of
wow.
my good friends will tell me, like, they didn't even know I wasn't from here. They'll be like, man, what? You're from another what? And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah,
And it
wow.
was just not something, you know, really that I viewed was really important to disclose, especially, you know, if other people couldn't really relate. And
Yeah,
so, I mean, out there, you know, at graduation, when it's time to graduate high school, then you realize that's significant because now it's time for you to step into that adult role. And so as I was trying to do that, you know, I had scholarships to colleges, you know, to a couple colleges. I had, you know, I played basketball. I had things that definitely were going for me, and all
wow.
that was like put on hold. You know everything right now, and that's just, you know, not to, you know, sidetrack, but right now everyone's going through COVID-19, and it's horrible. You know, what's happening with all the deaths and all the, you know, illnesses that people have been, you know, succumbing to. But, you know, things being on hold now, imagine feeling like that years ago without the flu or without, you know, without
Right.
anything,
Oh, huh.
having to readjust
Uh-huh.
life, you know, moving at one pace and then something
Mm-hmm.
happening so drastic that has nothing to do with you or that had no, you were not involved in no type of conception, but it still applies to you very heavily. And so, you know, that's kind of how it was after graduating high school. It was like, what, I can't go to college? What do you mean? Oh, I can't go get a job. Ah, you know, I got angry. You know, I was frustrated. You know,
Yeah.
I'm like, you
Yeah.
know, you know, I focused in school. I focused enough.
Well, it's like this. Look. I feel you. I get it. That's why I'm saying
Yeah,
publicly. Look, when we go through these, I don't know about you, but me, There was times years ago, about 12, 13 years ago, I was beating on a steering wheel in my at the time I had an SUV. This was years ago, back in the early. This was like 2008 or 9. I was beating on it maybe 10 years. 10 years ago. This was a decade ago. I was beating on the steering wheel. I was so upset. I was crying. I was, when I say hot, I was not, I mean, I was so upset. And the reason why I was so upset is because in so many moments it was such destruction and blocks, literally block wall, like walls as it seemed as high as the moon. And I was like, what is going on with these blockades? And I can't, not saying I didn't think I could do it, but I was like, man, this stuff is real. And it seemed
Where's it
like
coming
one
from?
thing after another after another. Now, to share with you, let me share this with you. There are many times, number one, I was around the wrong people. One, I'll just, number two, there were certain things within, I don't think I caught certain things in time, and maybe I would even say maybe I didn't take certain things maybe I didn't take certain things into account that I thought would connect together with certain opportunities. And when the stuff wouldn't connect for the life of me, oh, when I say, oh, you ain't about to be doing nothing with your life, you everything's on hold, pause, broke, can't move, can't make no movements, whatever you did get, oh, it was like an act of God. It's real. And I mean, to share this with you, being upset, angry,
Oh man.
being, tears, crying, anguish. I mean, just to share that with you, I mean, anguish on the inside. If you ever see a man cry, it's a hard thing to watch, and, or a young man or an older man, when
Hey.
you see a man cry, and I'm not saying crying is weakness at all. I'm just saying when it's going through like that
Crying is
and you
weakness
can't,
leaving the body.
well,
Isn't that
yeah,
what they
well,
say?
even well, yeah, well, that's one of the things I tend to say. Like, sweat cools the body, tears cool the soul, and it's a release. It's a release, and I'm not saying anger is bad feelings, because there are some feelings of anger that is. Yeah, you're like upside down. Okay, there you go. You're right side. All right, you upside down. Let me see you upside. Yeah, oh, there you go. You right side up. There you go. Yeah, there you go. You was upside down. There you
Second,
go.
I'm having some service issues. Give me
Oh,
one
okay,
second.
go ahead, go ahead.
Trying to figure out what's going on here.
Okay, yeah, you're right side up, just to let you know, like yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Is that better?
okay,
Ooh.
yeah, yeah, now I'm able
I
to,
don't feel like that's too much better.
it's, okay, Justin, can you hear me?
Barely, you're in and out. Cutting in and out.
Yeah, I can hear you perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect.
You're
Yeah,
cutting in and out
so
though on your end.
I know for me, some of the things I had to go
On
through,
my end.
there was
On my end, I
anguish.
mean.
Yeah, what'd you say? Oh, wait, what'd you say?
One second. I'm just one.
Yeah, take it, little, take your time, no sweat, take your time.
Okay.
There we go, this is good. Yeah, take your time, no sweat, no sweat. Okay, and yeah, just let me know when you're good to go. It might not, okay, yeah, it may pop back. Okay, there we go. Let me see. There we go. Let's see. Okay, great. Okay, can you hear me? Okay, wonderful. Okay, so I was just saying that. I'll go ahead. Yeah, there was anguish, there was tears. I was so upset. I was like, oh my gosh. And then I had to carry this and figure this stuff out because this stuff just got so jacked up. And then I had to process through for like 10 years to get to the proper place where I could excel where I need to and not worry about a bunch of stuff getting all torn up and everything. But go ahead. Just I was just sharing the feelings of it, and then just go ahead because I know you were sharing about the feelings of what was going on and everything.
Well, to be honest, I didn't know really how to handle the feelings of what was going on. You know, I didn't grow up in an environment that was catered to handling feelings at all. So, you know, I was pretty angry about it. No one was able to answer my questions or showed, proper consolidation. Like, you know what? Dang, you know what? Let's find a solution. So I just, not that, people ignored me. It's just, I feel like, everyone has their own situation going on. And being, at the place I was at the time, I felt like people just kind of overlooked a lot of what I was going through. And so, long story short, that began a lot of the journey filled with lessons that I had to learn throughout the way. And it's just constantly been in a hustle, constantly been a learning endeavor, bro. Just trying to figure things out and trying to work around just the things that I lack right now, and just wondering you know sometimes I find myself wondering why, but there's a saying they say God gives his strongest battles to his strongest soldiers. And so I mean, at the end of the day, when I think about the fact that I should be maybe here, I could have been here, I think about where I will be then if I'm able to endure and if I'm able to go ahead and keep my sanity, keep my sense of well-being, keep because I mean, it's a very you know it's a very I guess you can say sensitive time period when switching over from a child to an adult.
When was that for you?
That conversion.
When was that for you?
For me, to be honest with you, based off of just long stories kept short, I would say that was probably in high school, towards the end of high school. Um, and by that I just mean, growing up I was always kind of alone or in my own area, even despite whatever was going on. But I left you having to make my own decisions properly. I would say probably 23, 24.
Okay, so okay. Why would you say 23 or 24 specifically? Because you were very specific about that. You said 23, 24. I thought you were about to say 17, 18. You said no, 23, 24. Can you hear me that charger, dear, on the wall?
Yeah.
So I can plug it in.
Definitely. It was because I thought about what I considered it means being an adult.
Yeah.
And at that age, I just didn't know what that meant at all. And I just didn't. So I mean, I had to learn the hard way.
Now, when you say the hard way, was it the school of hard knocks? Was it getting beat up, or was it jail or prison or something?
One thing I can say, and I'll always kind of appreciate is the fact that I ain't never been beat up.
Oh, okay, that's a blessing.
So
he said I ain't never.
I ain't never been beat up.
I feel you on that one. I feel you on that, like beat.
And anybody that went toe to toe with these, man, they ain't come out too pretty. But
I ain't trying to get warm, man. I ain't gonna lie. I feel you, man.
Yeah. And so, you know, with that being said, I just, I grew up in a very hard, in a very, violent environment, I guess you can say.
Okay.
South Central wasn't easy,
Yeah, that's what I heard. Now I'm
and
here in
there was a
LA
lot of
now, but yeah.
uh,
And
yeah. So I mean, it's go
this,
ahead.
in matter of fact, you in your 20s still? Are you still in your 20s, or you was you in your 30s?
Mm-hmm.
Because some people I would
No, no,
you still you ain't in your 20s.
I'm in my
Okay,
20s.
I couldn't remember because different
Yeah.
people I speak with, the age, the face. I'd be like, well, I couldn't remember if they was younger or older. In the 90s, LA, in the 80s, LA was a different LA or SoCal than it is now. It's still crazy, but the 80s and 90s
Mm-hmm.
LA, because I'm
Mm-hmm.
not a lot older than you, I don't think, but I'm early 30. I'm early 30s. So, but I'm not. I don't think
Yeah,
we're
I'm
that far. I don't
yeah,
think we're that far away. But
not
but
too
the
far.
thing is
Yeah.
I know like my experiences was like from more of like a military standpoint when I was in the military. So how I saw things and barriers, and that's what we on the show just talking about the challenges. For people to hear about the challenges on West Coast and from another country coming here at one, you know, you sharing about the violence and how that, would you say that shaped or molded kind of your view or had a certain influence?
Definitely,
Okay.
it made me more eager to to whoop some ass. Excuse my language. Uh, it pardon my
no,
language. Don't
no,
mean to
no, go
offend anyone,
ahead.
but it just made me. It made me, I guess, more determined to not be the same way. Because I just, I grew up. A lot of family members that I know have been just either around or in that environment, and they say, you know what they say, you could take the brother out the hood, but you can't take the hood out the brother. So, with that being said, it's just about learning self control and learning a lot of lessons that aren't taught, in the hood, such as, you know, uh, to each is his own, or to to not have to look over your shoulder to take care of the people around you, because it's such a dangerous environment that you got to make sure nobody around you is
Yeah.
dangerous for is going to harm you. So in an area like that, you got to watch over those around you too. And you see a lot of things happen that remind you the consequences of not staying on your toes, or the consequences of just making the wrong mistakes, making the wrong
Now, when you
decisions.
say making the wrong mistakes and decisions, what is some of the stuff you saw, Uno?
Man, I would say a lot of stuff that shouldn't be repeated. But
Not in
I would
specifics. We
say
don't have to be. We don't
it
have to be
nah
specifics,
nah nah nah
but just
yeah yeah.
general think, was it gang life, street life, drug use, prostituting, pimping. I don't know if it, because I know LA wow, so and I know you like you what you.
I was gonna say you damn near. I said all of the
Well,
above.
well, yeah,
But
you were there. I just got here like 2 years, so but you were there, and
well,
you were around the personalities, the energy, the vibe, you saw what you saw. So that's why you know, what impact did that have, like just viewing or being
man,
around that?
you saw a lot of people just trying to get by. You saw a lot of people trying to find a way. Around in a place where, sometimes you got to use the tools around you, right? If you wake up in this random, tool shed, and, all you have are the tools around you to try to get out of the shed.
Wow.
She gonna start putting pieces together. And you're gonna start trying to figure out a way to get out of this shed.
Yeah.
And so whether you can or you can't, that's what the timer decides. You know what I mean? And time is one of the biggest impactors into just people who end up making a good decision or a bad decision.
J-
Because time
Do you believe certain time was taken or stolen from you, or maybe certain things you can't get back? Um, and I'm saying this very can honestly, candid. Do you feel like you've maybe a few years lost, or just you can't retrieve ever again, or missed moments?
I feel like I just that's a good question. I feel like my life has shifted on a completely different course than I intended it to. I, you know, everyone knew me in high school. I was a solid cat. I wasn't really worried about much because when you're setting up your game plan for life,
Mm.
you stick to it, and you achieve the goals that you're setting out for. You're able to stick to that plan, at least up until college. Where people get distracted, but at the end of the day, when I realized the overall situation I was in, I had to stop trying to focus on my current achievements or being able to achieve things currently at the time, and focus on, wow, what does this even mean? Like, why am I in this situation? I had to really, whew, man, dig man, as deep as I could to try to find these answers. Because without these answers, a lot of people just kind of go jaded. They're like, you know what, man, this happened. It shouldn't have happened. You know what? Forget it. I'm just gonna go out here and I'm just gonna do this. And I'm just gonna do
Mm.
that. I'm just gonna wild out. But it's not about doing that. It's about at least the bigger focus should be trying to find a better way to find that solution, but also represent not only yourself but the people around you in a better fashion. Because I mean, with the current influences we have, I'm trust me, I'm young, man. I'm young enough to know that the people younger than me or people around me are listening like to music and really, really thinking that's them. And so, moving from South Central to the Inland Empire, I was a lot more, I guess you can say, turned. A lot more turned than a lot of the kids around me. Got into a couple of scuffles right off the bat, and like it was just like, what's the problem? But a lot of people, just don't know what making certain decisions come with, and when you start realizing that, you just restrain yourself from being involved with people that, you know, don't know what it means to really be all in, you know? And so I'm not speaking as to everyone because I love all my friends and all the people that I've come across, but they've showed me the difference between, somebody who believes in themselves or someone who believes in what the next person tells them.
So, okay, pause. So, with those two moments right there, what was two instances where
You know
you
what? Yes,
go ahead, go ahead.
I'm looking around. I'm looking around because I need some
Go get
water,
one. Go get.
and I literally just have this. I just have this right here, and I'm like, yo, should I just go ahead and
Look, we,
let me get some water. I'll be right
yeah,
back.
just take your time. Take your. See the importance of these conversations. Not only just to have the conversations, but dealing with checking on the next man or people within wellness is so important. Even such as choices right there. Having a choice within water or maybe beverage of choice or alcohol. I don't know what it was, but it looked like alcohol. But choosing the things that is going to be help, and also just on the mind, even when recalling back.
Yeah, I brought the
Oh,
whole
there
jug
you
over here,
go.
man. I ain't trying to
That's
leave
all
again.
right. Well, we jugging. We water jugging. That's what we promote.
That,
Wellness.
that's a that's a nice prop, actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, my mom was like, "Where you going with that? Where you going with that?" I'm like, "Man, I'm thirsty, man. I gotta
Yeah,
hydrate."
hey, look, hydration is very important because I'm telling you, you will hydrate properly
Yep.
with your water, with juice and stuff. And I'm serious, you can go to getting dizzy and all type of stuff and feeling like woo, just all that. I'm telling you,
100%.
you know, I'm,
Yeah, man. Hey, that's the number one sneaker that'll creep
yeah,
up on you,
I saw
man.
people.
Hypertension
Man,
is
I
a
saw
thing.
people pass out, like you said, hypertension pass out. People being on the inside, they're not able to use the restroom, dealing with dealing with just water, hydration, fruits and vegetables. And I'm just saying this is something that went with me even years ago with nutritional health and wellness. And I'm not saying uh, fruit guru, but what I am saying is just dealing
Mm-hmm.
holistically, just getting the right things in our body, getting the right things in our mind, and what you were sharing. We've had these memories and these experiences, and to be honest with you, I wouldn't even be surprised some of the stuff we went through was traumatic. To be honest with you, and when I say traumatic, it emotionally and physically, it could do things to our mental well-being and emotional well-being.
100%.
Just saying,
100%. And it's a blessing. You know what? And I gotta thank God. I gotta, show my appreciation because you know what? To be able to maintain, or to be able to not only keep yourself from mentally, evolving into like a negative mind or having a negative mentality, as well as to build your mentality instead of, letting that PTSD subdue you or freeze you.
yeah,
Or man, I'm telling you, there's so many things that can go. Like I remember, man, there was years ago, man, when like, yo, I promise you, I couldn't even begin to tell you the things that would go through my head. Not things that I'd want to do to anyone, or even myself. Just the way I would feel, how
wow,
lost, would feel, just being like,
yeah, I
wow,
understand,
like what? Like I'm telling you,
I get it.
yo, to go from everything to sitting in immigration, because I've been in one of those camps. The story, it's a long story, but I've been behind those fences and those poor excuses for facilities that they scrap together, just to go ahead and do whatever their intentions are. But you know, even through that, I learned so many lessons that helped me to become stronger, helped me to realize those do or die moments where it's like, hey, if I don't get past this, if I don't find a way to overcome this, I'm never gonna be able to overcome that.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So yeah,
Wow.
it's just man. I mean, and so as I try to keep things along like a nice, because there's so many different ways I can divert or things I can explain as to.
Might have stopped. It'll probably bring them back in. Yeah, it'll probably bring them. Yeah, it'll. Okay. Yeah, it'll probably pop them back in, and we'll continue. And I'm telling you, when it's just seeing how people, and I know even coming down people's lives just be transformed. Let's see here, go through that process. Here we go. Let's see here. Okay, let's. Okay, there we go. Okay, there we go. Okay.
Man, you know what? Some people can be so just obnoxious, man. But you know what? Sorry for the interruption.
It's,
Sorry to break away. I just love life, man. I've come to a point where I just despite what I've been through, man. There's so much that I could show or explain as to that search inside as to what needs to change, because a lot needed to change at the end of the day,
what was the
to
number?
ensure that I was able to make it.
What was the number one thing, if you don't mind, or if you want to say the
Pers-
number two, but that needed to change so you can make it out?
Perspective.
Yeah, you said perspective.
Perspective.
Okay, now
Hmm.
perspective as in more wisdom, or you weren't seeing it the right way, understanding.
Perspective as. Go ahead.
When you say perspective, to perceive, but in what way? Like you perceive it, but I know it wasn't the right
Because.
way, but in what way that
Okay,
got
so
you over the hump, or just in another dimension of? And here we are today.
Well, I mean, yeah. Throughout what I've been through personally, which undoubtedly comes with a lot more hurdles, on top of the hurdles that we all face, here in America. We all face them. But, being from another place and being categorized improperly, or being, falling through, systematic cracks, it forces you to face other hurdles on top of the ones that already, faced by people around you. So it's like when going to somebody to explain to them what's going on, they got their own problems to deal with, especially, unfortunately, coming from a problematic area. It's not like people are devoted to helping other people, for sure.
Wow, that's so
So,
true.
you know, and so, and then in the process, you learn that everyone has their own problems, and unfortunately, for some odd reason, you got to find a solution to the problem that I guess you didn't create, a problem that is is not any single person's fault. It's a combination of things just not going the right way. And to change that, you got to make sure that things go the right way for you. And to do that, you have to, identify what the problem is. You have to, and it takes a perceptive. Perception is a big part of that,
Okay.
because you have to be able to step outside your own perception.
Mm.
As someone who is maybe on the wrong side of whatever is being perceived, you have to step outside of that regardless if you want to find a better solution, and try to look at it maybe from other perspectives. And that's definitely something that I could thank my mom for seeding in me. When I was young, she'd always, she'd say, definitely, she'd always say, what did she say? She'd say, don't just think about the way your actions affect you, think about the way it affects the people around you. And so when you have enough experience to know how kind of people are, as you grow older, you realize, the importance of your own actions. But in an environment where no one really cares about other people's actions to a certain, care about their own, it becomes harder to identify, certain things
Mm.
that may be viewed as honorable, or certain things that, are actually, things that we should be teaching ourselves. And so, I had to kind of just take a step back and just, man, just look at everything I've seen, everything I've seen, and go through all the information I had, and realize and try to figure out what's gonna be most beneficial and help me to get through this. And having a negative mindset and mentality was in no way, shape, or form part of that. And at one point it was. At one point I was like, you know what?
Thank you.
Man, hey, I
Thank
was like, you
you.
know what, man? It was a cool time period. I was like, hey, that's it. I don't even care about nothing else, because I mean,
Cause you was
I
wilding
didn't care about
out.
anything else.
Like
I felt like
when that happened,
nothing at that when that happened, I felt as if I was pretty studious, man. I was a smart student,
you still
and
are.
I was very active. Thank you, thank you. I was pretty
Yeah.
active in school, social, and I felt like, what? I can't go to college? Oh, y'all trying to? Oh man, somebody,
You went to cussing
man,
and
all
fussing,
right, man.
didn't you? You went to wilding out. You
All
went
right, I'm
to.
about to, I went to Bedrock Academy. I went to the Streets Academy. I was just like, all right, I know what they're going, Yeah.
I knew you did. That's what I'm saying. They were like, you can't go
I'm
to
gonna go
college.
learn.
Oh man, I can't go to college. You was like, oh, I'm about to turn this thing out. I'm about to tear it up.
Man. And so I was like, all right, dang, I guess.
Yeah, man, that's a hard hit.
And so,
Yeah.
and so, yeah. And,
Yeah.
I soon had realized, just, the consequences of that, especially like, when you're not in the right environment, especially too, like, I'm not saying crime is okay in any environment,
Of course, we're not
but I'm
saying
just saying,
crime is okay, but for the lesson of the
when you,
process.
it's not even about crime. It's just about, because when you're looking at things from an adolescent perspective, you don't consider things, especially when you haven't been, across the law that much. You just, you view things as smacks on the wrist, or maybe a belt. You know what I mean? Or maybe, grounding. So your relation to what crime is like, banter, unless you've been out and about. And so, I just was focused on the wrong things, trying to distract myself, and I ended up ended up, behind bars, bro.
So,
Where anybody else,
so,
ends up.
so when, like you said, okay, boom, bars happened. All right, now mentally, once okay, now we're here. Now mentally, what is that like now being in these conditions, behind bars?
I was like, man, I sit behind these bars like, man, I should own this joint. What they talking about I'm behind bars, man? Y'all tripping.
You playing, did you?
What they talking about? Y'all got the wrong man in here, man. And when I get out, man, I'm finna free all my brothers, and we finna, nah, I'm just kidding. But just in there, there's a lot of lessons learned in there, to be honest. And it comes down, like I said, to perspective. Because when I was in there, it's like, yo, what can I soak in? So there's so much to learn, when you're paying attention to the right things.
So
And,
you're saying
I've never really shared any of this before.
Right,
Go
right.
ahead.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you sharing that because I'm serious. Believe it or not, the people that will hear this and view this, it really helps, or even years down the road in these future shows and the things that's going on with Cali and all over the world or whatever, this really does help people. And it really helps them in the way of physically, emotionally, psychologically, the step by step, but just the overall, like, what within that, what went on. Because I'm telling you, people do some nut stuff, some nutty stuff, and people need to hear, oh man, Uno or that guy, or I remember that guy was saying he was made these decisions, and then boom, he behind bars. That's why I'm just sharing this, because it really helps people very powerfully. But go ahead.
Let's just say this, man. I was fighting gun charges. I was fighting, burglary charges. I was fighting, a bunch of charges for crimes that did not, fit my character. They weren't crimes that described who I was. They're crimes tried to describe, what I was going through.
Yeah.
Or, I guess maybe
because
it
that's
was
not who
just,
you.
that godly intervention.
That because the thing is, what I hear, and not just the words, but looking beyond. That's not who you are. That's not who you was to be doing all that. And what I mean is, not saying church schoolboy, but there was pain there. There was pain there. It wasn't like, oh, I love this, and I'm going to crash in the community and start destroying everything because I feel great.
No, not at all. Not at all.
You
Not
know
even
what I mean?
slightly. Not even the slightest bit.
Right,
It was more like, you know what? It was more like, hey, I gotta do what I gotta do because my pops ain't doing what he gotta do. My mom's is doing too much for too many people who ain't doing what they gotta do. And so, before I become another statistic, I just gotta do what I gotta do. I gotta figure out something to do. And it just wasn't the right, things. And at the end of the day, I it was, I guess you can say, on the scale of activity, it can be said, it can be probably lightweight to others, but that's just because me personally, I believe in working hard. I believe in hard work. Because, I got a mother who's worked hard her whole life and who's never, needed to steal anything or who's never needed to, take advantage of other people, but who's been taken advantage of. And so one thing that was been very dear to me at heart was not taking advantage of people. And so when I, was in my, I guess, my my hardships or whatever, all this BS I was going through, I was like, you know what? I'm not taking or I'm not doing anything to people I care about. I'm not doing anything to people at all. I'm just gonna, go ahead and if he messes with me or if he tries to go ahead and harm me, then I'm gonna go ahead and an eye for an eye type mentality, I guess you can say. And although I guess there's a lot of you can go back and forth on an eye for an eye, but it's never good to justify doing something wrong because someone else did something wrong.
Right.
And that's ultimately one of the biggest lessons I learned, throughout that situation. Because, growing up, man, I'm telling you, if there was a bully, I'm on him. I'm about to go ahead and I'm finna go get on him.
You'll get on?
Like, yo, you can't be messing with these people. Yeah, man. Pause. But yeah, man, I'm gonna go, go ahead and press him like, yo, man, chill out, leave these people alone. And so, I just, I was always non-judgmental. Everyone deserves some level of respect. And it starts the same with everybody, and it's up to them whether they gain more respect or lose some. And I just just stuck. I just was me. So when I started going through these hardships, and I'm going through these major life calamities, these life moments, these life lesson moments, I'm like, yo, what if I do this or if I do that, how's it gonna come out? And so when I was in there, I just went ahead and tried to redirect or reprogram my mind, while I was sitting there fighting for my life. I had to reprogram my mind and be like, whoa, this is, whoa. Like, I was nominated for Homecoming King. What's going on here?
Yeah.
Like, this ain't Homecoming, it's the King kind of stuff. But, I was most improved player on the basketball team. I had plaques. I was very scholarly. So, I just was like, you know what? I started doing what people started doing very young. I started listening to peer pressure, following peer pressure. And, that happens when you have a weak mind. You have a weakened mind because, things aren't making sense. So when it comes time to remind yourself why you're saying no, or to remind yourself of these rules that you set out, you can't remind yourself because of that peer pressure, and because those rules weren't set in stone, and you didn't have enough self-discipline, that and that ends up fucking messing people up real young. And so working on that, I began, my path just curved. I'm so sorry. My path just
It's all
curved.
good. It's
And
all good. I know you was in the flow, so I was like, well, you go ahead. You
yeah,
good,
all
man.
this
I'm
water.
listening.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. So I mean, I just had to, man, change everything 100%. And without changing me, who I am as an individual, or without letting myself be tainted, tarnished, or you know, um, just negatively affected by those situations. So perspective has definitely helped me to see other ways to look at the situation and to handle the situation, and then self control, being able to work on myself,
Yeah.
work on when I'm thinking about whenever I'm thinking about something, I'm focused on what my outcome, not the outcome, but I'm focused on, is it beneficial for me, or is it beneficial for those around me? There's so much that comes into just where my head has gone, through over the years.
Hmm.
And let's just say I'm at a point now where, I guess I can say I'm pretty calm. Man, I've been through so much that I can take quite a bit as a grain of salt. And I'm just trying to look back and look ahead as well and wonder when is it all going to be over. And in the meantime, my biggest, I guess, because when you're going through a situation that you can't get past, you got to find a reason to keep going.
Yeah.
And so my situation, I was like, you know what? My mom always told me, you know what? Don't do it for me because I'm not always gonna be here. Don't do
Yeah.
it for me. I'm not always gonna be here. So my next, reason for doing it was just, for the person that's gonna see me doing it and be motivated by it getting done.
Yeah.
Seeing it happen.
And I just want to just share that. Look, even myself, by coming into California, I met you, and just a certain piece of who you are at this chapter. That's not the be all end all, but I know I desire to be one of the people that, in some fashion, to see you excel. And what I mean by excel, not just in a small way, even though we can count the small victories, but to really see you excel major. And I know you envision yourself excelling major, but there's a people, and I know I'm one of them, definitely waiting, being in the stands in one sense, and you're on the field, and to cheer you on. And that's one reason why I wanted to. You came to my mind and say, man, saying, get Uno, and to really cheer on, and really, I pray, and I pray that the Lord really will, because he can, but those breaking doors, and I'm just gonna go ahead and just speak the breaking doors to open over your life. And even though we can know certain things, I want to go ahead and speak that from where I'm at in SoCal right now to where you're at right now over your life, over the totality of your life, even if it's 2 years from now, 12 months from now, 2 months from now, or today, that it will great things that you would say, wow, normally that doesn't happen, to come to not just be like, man, I got it, oh, this is good, but no, to break you out and lift you up unto utter success and good success, because we could get success in a bad way, but go ahead.
You know what? I was gonna say, let me share something, a testimony, I guess, as you can say.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because at the end of the day, I didn't grow up religious. I didn't grow up in church.
Yeah, I didn't either. I didn't.
It was non-existent, where I grew up, and then I moved to a place where it was considered, but it wasn't until towards the end of high school, I just, started getting into trouble, detention, whatever the case may be, and through that I just discovered God, and had to go to a church, had to do community service. I'm like, you know what? I'm here. Might as well listen to what they got to say.
Yeah.
It's gonna help the time to go by faster. So I'm listening and I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Okay, I like what he's saying. That makes sense. But then I'm like, wait, that doesn't really make too much sense though, or he didn't explain that enough. So now I got to go and do, my own research. And so I just realized that, what? Just after a period of going through that, I just started really studying scripture for myself, the Bible, the Holy Bible, and I can honestly say I've come quite close to, my God, our God, and without Him, I wouldn't have been able to make it through any of the hurdles, that I've made it through, that have been life changing. And one example of that is, I have these are called pocket Bibles, right?
Yeah.
So these pocket Bibles, these pocket Bibles these ones are old, they get older.
Yeah.
And this one's like, newer. And then I have one more that's somewhere around here that's really new. But as you can see, as they get too old, I just go ahead and get a new one.
Yeah.
Because, I've realized that the only thing I've been able to really stick to for instruction that's been able to help me find the answers any point along the way has been God.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's something that, I can appreciate every last person I've met along the way for helping me to, to refocus or helping me to realize something else new. But I could thank him for allowing me to see that and showing me that,
Wow.
I didn't learn that in church. I go through scripture, I highlight, I can recite, certain scripture, and I didn't get it from religion.
Right.
I'm not knocking anyone's religion.
Right. I understand.
got it from believing.
I understand.
Believing and
it ain't religion.
Fully upon that belief. So.
Yeah, I understand what you mean, and I'm glad you made that distinction. And a lot of people, they don't make that distinction, and I like how you made that distinction to say the difference between religiously or by you actually being a believer, because there is a difference.
Mm-hmm.
And you say I didn't get that in church, I got that in my own study time, and you differentiated those two things. Go ahead.
I had a gentleman give me this Bible out of state. This Bible was given to me in Sacramento, Sacramento, California. I've had Bibles given to me, across the board from different places, and I've blessed other people, and I've definitely done my piece in just trying to stay active as a believer and understanding what I believe in. And I just definitely believe in the Most High, and there to be a Heavenly Father, someone who created everything, and someone who looks over us, with the protection of His angels.
Just a question.
Without them.
Just a question. Have you ever considered clergy work or schooling, dealing with, just saying in that flow? Now I've been to Christian universities, and
I have
that's what that's why I'm sharing. I was like, he's supposed to It was after hearing, you know, and we've spoken before, but I said,
Yeah,
wait a minute, he's supposed to be
I got
on that next level. That next,
yeah.
and I'm not putting no pressure, but let me share something with you about me. I used to be in ministry for years and pastoring churches in Chicago, and as a pastor. And me and my wife, we were in ministry, and I've been to, you know, different degrees with education and schooling in Christian, you know, universities and seminary schools. So I'm just sharing that with you, not as pressure, but I wanted to share you with my history and even now with doctorate and ministry and the whole healthcare practitioner, holistic practitioner, family practitioner, but
I support
also,
it all. I
yeah.
support ministry and all that. Yeah.
But I say that with your life, a real light with your life, like just coming more as time goes on, and just want to encourage you. There's some great things that's gonna happen for your life, and I know you're also in music. You're an artist. You know, some people don't, you know, they don't know that, or people do, and you know, I just see a lot of great
Uno,
things.
you
Go
know?
ahead, go ahead. What would
Oh
say?
no, I was just like it was an ad lib. It was an ad lib. Like Uno, you know?
Hey, you got a
Yeah.
freestyle.
So
You got a freestyle. Well, you don't freestyle, do you?
I definitely do
You,
freestyle.
cause I know, I thought we did.
Um,
I thought you got something. You got something off the
I
top of the
definitely
head.
always got
Go
something.
ahead, go ahead. What you
Uh,
want? What you want? Like a
acapella. Or you can just play an instrumental. Or I mean, did you want me to acapella? It
we
doesn't
can
matter.
acapella, man. Acapella, fella.
Hmm.
That's on the top of the
Okay.
head. No thread. Lace it up. Fill it up. What's up?
You breaking up. uh, uh, Let me introduce you to this everyday movement. Legs back and forth, guess I'm marching with the movement. Spreading nothing but peace, love, and happiness. Divided by the opposite, guess I'm Ray Charles to the obvious.
Uh,
Find a girl to simply marvel at your challenge just to conquer it. Competition lacking more than confidence. The world we live in is incompetent, irrationally dominant, divided by people who still be robbing us. The use of kids to get you money from the government, hurt your back on the job, banking on a settlement.
uh,
Of course, I'm indirectly talking about some other stuff irrelevant to anybody out here getting it, splitting and co-hitting it. Windows on the darkest tint, license plates are blowing in the whip. Some might say,
you got
man,
it.
compound. It's all right. I'm gonna get it back. I fell off the track, but I had to switch it up. Young Mac hopping on the track, and I'm tough. Coming from the bottom and the top, beat it up. I'm the one that's acting real tough because I've been through the worst, and I'm gonna see the best. On the live with David Render. Off the top, it's worse, but it get better.
Uh, uh,
Man.
that's
But
it. Bim,
yeah.
bim, 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 bim.
Yeah, man.
Oh no. Oh no, in the
But to
building,
be
man.
honest though,
Yeah, go ahead, man. What's up?
you know what? Speaking of since you're talking about music and
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
let me
What's up?
I'm gonna there's something that I am working on. When it comes to music, I freestyle, I write. All of it doesn't take me that long of time. But if you guys want to check me out on SoundCloud or Instagram, I definitely will leave my link. Hopefully, David will share it as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
Instagram is KTSC_Uno, and my Twitter is KTSC Uno. Snapchat is VIISE, Vise, because I'm going to be televised. And
That's right.
at the end of the day, despite it all, all the lawyer fees, despite everything that, sets us back, we got to stay focused on the goal. It ain't easy, life is definitely not easy, but when you focus on the right things, it gets easier.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not even going to go ahead and distract, y'all with this music right now because it's going to put you in a whole nother zone.
Yeah.
I'd like to go ahead and make sure that we focus on the task at hand. This chapstick that I have is horrible, man. I
I
don't know this
feel you.
stuff
I
right
know some of
here.
the chopsticks I'll be doing. I would just, okay, goddamn, get my
Ah,
hand. I feel you.
ah.
I
Oh,
understand,
look, I'm about
man.
to die and shit. Look like
Man.
I'm having an attack or something. What's going on in my mouth? But, you didn't say nothing either. You just gonna let it hang. You just gonna
No,
like be
man,
like,
no,
yeah, man.
I
Yeah,
was
keep talking.
listening.
Just keep going. Keep going.
I was listening, and I said he got on time, but I said I know he gonna catch it, and he gonna get some water or something, and you did, just like I thought, and you did. Right on, just like that. I said he gonna get some water, and then that's what you did, just like that. You know, I'm thankful, I'm grateful, seriously, um, for allowing you to have that time, place that time, dealing with just a session, healing therapy, just to reflect. Look. Like you said, the lessons you learned, the anguish, the tears, upset, this, man, I had to learn that, man, this was hard, I did that, I did this. Trust me, I understand this well.
You
And
know,
that's, go ahead.
if I just say this, one last piece to wrap it up. It's like at the end of the day,
Yeah, yeah.
the biggest thing that I gotta appreciate out of the whole situation is being forced, I guess, in an aspect to look over or to move past the smaller things that really are insignificant, that a lot of young people end up focusing on, that distracts them from
Yeah.
the significance of what is important. And not that I'm not distracted myself, but I just have had to realize the importance. I mean, for a person in a situation where it's literally go hard or go home, you
Yeah.
can't you can't slip up in that situation, because if you end up going home, you're gonna be pretty mad. Like, I could have went harder.
Yeah.
One thing I know, I could have went harder. And that's one thing I'm not ever gonna, I don't ever want to feel like that, because this is a situation that's life changing. Imagine why it's just, imagine like, you tomorrow, somebody just picked you up, put you in a plane, and just, flew you over, another country, and just dropped you off, like, boom, and said, this is where you at. So
Dang, that's deep. That's
it's
hard.
definitely,
That's a cold train.
yeah, it's a quite a concept. It's a quite a concept. I fought hard though for, for where I'm at,
Right.
and I'm
Wow.
just ready for it to be over. I'm ready for for them to realize, how important a person like me definitely is to the people around them. Definitely. I know I have a lot of friends that appreciate what I do, in music, or what I've done for them in the past as a friend. And one thing that I've learned throughout this is, the worth of selflessness. It's hard to be selfish in a situation where you find the worth of appreciating, helping the right people or helping people in it. I guess, I found a balance, in that, because people are like, what's the point of doing this, this nice action to this person? It's not like it's going to matter, but, at the end of the day, it does.
It
It adds
does.
up. And especially when it's a sincere gesture, you kind of just remove a lot of the toxicity, to life. But the hardest part about that is getting that across to other people,
Yeah.
and not allowing them to perceive you, or to just assume you as an imposter. There's a lot of imposters out here. There's a lot of fake people out here
Yeah.
that honestly are doing things with ulterior motives, and
Yeah.
I don't have an ulterior motive. My motive is just to see the top.
I feel you. Hey, but look,
And
I,
spread as much love.
I hope we can do one better. Not only you see it, but you experience that top.
And I glorify God in the process, man. That's it.
It's good. It's good. Any last words? Anything else? You good? Is good, good, good?
Oh, you talking to me? Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah. I was saying, any last words? Anything before we just close out? I had a few
You
words at the end.
okay? Okay. Yeah, yeah. I would say, what, life is good. A new song dropping this Friday.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
gonna be on, all platforms. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna check it
Life is
out.
good. It's gonna be
Yeah.
KTSC Uno featuring Santonio.
Okay.
Song I produced myself. I'm working on a mixtape. It
All
should
right.
drop soon. I should drop the release date. The website is up. Keep
Oh.
that same energy. .us.
All
Go ahead
right.
and check it out. Subscribe. It definitely is going to document the journey, and it's going to help people to see the bigger picture that I'm trying to paint. And just bear with me. I'm I guess you can say I'm a one-man team right now. I
Yeah.
appreciate you, David, though, for letting me hop on the show. and talk about all my personal business.
I got you.
You know,
We both out
that's
there.
really
We both out there. Cause I be saying something my personal. Trust me, I tell you, man. People, it's hot when
boy.
they.
We out there, boy, but they gonna send my ass out there, boy. Like,
No, hey, look. You good. Look, you're gonna be good. You're gonna be good. Protection. God with you, the angels with you, they'll
yeah,
protect you.
man.
And you know,
Um,
just know, I wanted to just share this. Look, we're gonna be all right, and we're gonna make the right decisions, better blessings, and the right support and help is gonna come at the right time, and it's gonna be some stuff we didn't even know. We were expecting great things, but we may not see the face yet, or maybe the height or who they are yet. But guess what? They're coming. They're coming, and they're going to have your name attached to it. The right situation with your right name, and also not only situation, also provision. The provision. So for the growth, expansion, multiplication, so you can take care of yourself even further, and just as a man, and as we grow and develop. So these are the things I'm not just saying may happen; it will as we just continue forward. Just in this life and in this season, in the midst of challenging times, we're gonna overcome this thing. And some amazing stuff gonna happen, and I'm gonna be watching too. I'm gonna be watching right on Instagram and everything, and looking for people to be on the show. And the next things that's gonna move forward. And if COVID-19 wasn't here, I tell you this, I was gonna be getting up on them stages. Tell you that, get on them stages. But I'm gonna hit them stages soon.
yeah, you got to.
Yeah, man.
I
Well,
can't wait to get back to the
oh
pages.
man, it's that IG. Oh, okay, you're doing it backwards. Okay, yeah, IG
Oh
is
my lord!
yeah, because
Oh
remember it's
my.
back. I can say it. IG is KTSE underscore UNO, and that's Instagram. And because I'm reading it backwards, so let's see if how good my backwards
Hey,
read.
you're doing a good job. You're doing a
Yeah.
good job.
Oh yeah, I can read it. Twitter is KTSE UNO, and that was for Twitter. And for Snapchat, let's see here, there we go. It's VIISE. Or is that a two?
Yeah, and then the
Yeah.
website, no, that was right. That was right. And then the website,
And
P
that same energy dot US.
.us. You know it.
Bam! Because I wrote it down when you said it the first time.
Booyah, hey, I hope everybody else did, because you know what? There's some great things coming your way, and
Yeah,
there's some great
man.
things coming all of our way.
We're gonna, yeah.
The goal is to stick together.
Yeah, it's good. Thank you for just we getting everything smoothed out. So glad, and once we get off the line, I'm gonna speak with you after, and just hey, it's good. I really appreciate this. I'm really just some very special things that's gonna take place in a couple months or a month or something like that. So some real special things that's gonna take place. Things I've been working on. So it's greatness. So awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you as well.
Yes,
Have a great
sir.
evening. All right, I'll
Yes.
talk to you in a bit.
Thank you so much. There we go. Great. So, as you can see, such a great time, a great show of just that healing, that connection, and just a lot of through undergo process and development. There's a lot of different men or men of color and different ones across the spectrum that are coming out of the woodwork. The woodwork, the woods, coming out of the trees, and not only the rainforest top, but ascending into the skies, ascending into the space, and ascending to heights and charts and places unknown. But greatness is afoot, and the thing is, we got to go after that, and not be as Uno had shared about distractions that come along. But really, there was a lot of wisdom in this, and a lot of shared knowledge and information that was shared, for the greater good. And the thing is, we can move past the different emotions that we do have. We acknowledge it, but we want to move past it, because there was things like Uno had shared. It was reflected upon, but to wait, he would wait it out, after making a great decision or not, and say, man, I don't want to be like this, man, this isn't the way, I need to, humble myself, what I'm viewing, this isn't the right thing I want to view in the streets. And one thing about it, when you have a mind like that, it will develop, grow, mature, wisen up, and get sharper beyond belief. And guess what happens? The right premier opportunities will come and thrust men's lives like him, as going through the process and the patience of it, these various virtues and different things dealing with the character. I share this all the time. There's things with character as we grow and learn where talent won't take you, that character can, or talent will get you to the door. It can get you to the door, but the character will keep you. So thank you so much. This is Dr. David Render here, and wanting to share for healing. We had a wonderful two-part. So usually we have it at 4 healing at 4, but we wanted to share it now. It's about 6:30. So. Western time. So thank you so much. You'll have a wonderful night, and be expecting amazing things to happen and come about. Thank you.